going on, peeps? Today we're going to discuss how e-bikes in the United Kingdom are legally allowed to be on the road. And I bet you didn't know that there's 4 different categories for EAPC. So today we're going to go over the first category, which is 0, which everyone is common with. And if you're not, you should understand by now. So I'm literally going to head over to the computer. And I'm going to let the computer read this one out for you.
In the UK, e-bikes must meet EAPC, electrically assisted pedal cycle, rules to be ridden without a license, tax, or insurance. They must have pedals, a maximum 250W motor, and assistance that cuts out at 15.5 miles per hour, 25 kilometers per hour. Riders must be at least 14 years old, and the bike can be used on cycle paths and roads. UK e-bike legal requirements, EAPC. Motor power, maximum continuous rated power of 250 watts. Speed limit. Assistance must cut off at 15.5 miles per hour. Pedal assistance. Motor must only work while pedaling, except for twist and go throttles, which are only legal if they assist up to a maximum of 3.7 miles per hour or 6 kilometers per hour. Age limit. Riders must be 14 or older. Identification. The bike should be clearly marked with the manufacturer, speed/voltage, and power output. Gov.uk +5.
So that gave you the first stage, which is classified as 0, which is basically do nothing, right? Now we're going to take a look at the smarter registration, and over here, it's going to give us information of what's allowed to be done and what's not allowed to be done. And notice, I did mention this in a previous video, nothing towards an e-bike for the speed, the motor capacity, all of them things like that are not going to change or be considered to change until June 2030. And I'll show you more evidence of that in a couple seconds, so stick around. This breaks down electric assisted pedal cycles. It's so awkward having to say that. E-cargo bikes, etc. and etc. And there's a few other things that are added in here. It even gives you the information for a throttle, right? Which, if you notice down here, it says type approved. Okay? Do you know what? Let me just let this read out for you before we head over to the final document and I show you a few more things.
Throttle assistance. EAPCs that provide electrical assistance without the use of pedals are usually known as twist and go e-cycles. It is possible to use these cycles in the same way as any other EAPC. However, under assimilated EU Regulation 168/2013, vehicles with throttle assistance above 3.73 miles per hour, 6 kilometers per hour, require type approval. Type approval is provided via the Vehicle Certification Agency and is there to ensure that a vehicle meets certain technical requirements. This is normally achieved at the manufacturing stage, but importers and individuals will be able to seek individual approval for vehicles that have not been type approved.
Boom. Now, type approved is a whole different story of a category, but right now we're going to take a look at the smarter registration. I believe that's what it is. And this gives you a breakdown of 0, which is do nothing, which is what the first stage is, which is what everybody should be accustomed with, right? Now, if we come back over to here, you've got option 1, increase the power limits, and then you've got twist assist without type approved, but that's only to a set speed, which your bike will more than likely be in already. And then you've got option 3. Now, option 3 is probably one of the most interesting options on here, but today we're going to go through every single one. What I'll do is I can share this whole entire policy in the link in the bio of the video, and it will give you all the information you need. Basically, if there's anything else that you feel like you want to check out, you can go and have a look for yourself. But we're going to have to go down a bit, or I'm going to have to go down a bit. Okay, so this is option 0, which is do nothing.
34. In the absence of the proposed regulatory change, we would expect the e-cycle and e-cargo cycle market to continue its growth trajectory, noting that the COVID period was exceptional. However, some users that might have otherwise adopted e-cycles or e-cargo cycles may not do so. For example, disabled users, or some logistics and delivery businesses.
Now that's 0 as in do nothing, which means your bike stays at 250 watts. You continue to ride at 15.5 or 25 kilometers. And there's every other option here as well, right? Now, hold on a second. So it basically gives us the information here that options 1, 2, and 3 are together. It's basically a similar category. Now, what's good about option 3? Look, there's more information here. So option 1 is what we're about to go through right now.
Option 1. To amend how EAPCs are classified so that the maximum continuous rated power of the electric motor must not exceed 500 watts instead of 250 watts as set out in the current regulations. This change to the regulations would make it easier for e-cycle users to ride up hills and gradients. It would also help e-cargo bike riders deliver heavier loads.
Did you hear that correctly? So that would be option 1, okay? Which would basically be a type approved with 15.5, and your bike will more than likely be locked into the 250 watts unless you actually have a big cargo bike, okay? Now, option 2. Now, for some people, you have option 2 for an e-bike and you don't even realize that you're in a different category from the first option, which I'm the first option. So for the LE20 2.0 Pro, okay, meets option 0, right, which is 15.5 on a pedal assist. It hasn't got a push to go for 3.7 miles per hour, and it's a 250 watt motor. Now, if we go over to option 2.
Option 2. To allow twist and go EAPCs to have throttle assistance up to 15.5 miles per hour, 25 kilometers per hour, without the need for type approval, instead of 3.73 miles per hour, 6 kilometers per hour, as under the current regulations. This regulatory change would make using EAPCs more accessible, including for...
Well, it doesn't tell you who it's for, but it gives you the information. It should have been here, but for some reason they left that part blank. But that even says there you don't need the type approval instead of the 3.7 miles. But bear in mind, your bike would have to be built for option 2. You can't just go and do this yourself. It has to go through the testing center and everything else. Now, option 3, I think, is probably the best option. And it's because it allows you to increase.
Preferred option. Taking forward both options 1 and 2. Progressing both these changes to the existing regulations is expected to lead to a greater increase in EAPC use and greater resulting benefits compared to only taking forward option 1 or 2.
Let's go down, right? Actually, no, we need to go back up, because the first thing we need to fully understand is from here.
20. The overriding rationale is to make EAPCs a more attractive and viable travel option for more people. 21. More specifically, increasing the power of EAPCs to 500 watts would make it easier for cyclists using EAPCs to ride up hills and gradients. This has the potential to enable more people to cycle. For example, if they live or work in areas with hilly terrain, or they are less physically fit and would otherwise struggle to cycle up gradients. 22. EAPCs with 500 watts could be valuable for e-cargo bikes because it would better enable delivery riders to transport heavier loads, including on terrain with gradients. E-cargo bikes are a growing area of interest and operations for logistics organizations and have the potential to support efforts to cut congestion and improve air quality.
That basically there is option 3, right? Which is basically for a cargo bike. And many people are suggesting that what's the difference between an e-bike and a car or a van or a motorbike? But the thing is, they all have to go through the standards of being allowed on the road. So there is no difference in the quality check. The only issue is that since 2019 to 2022, I'm pretty sure it's on this document. I should have noted it down for where it was. It was 60,000 to 150,000 bikes had been imported into the country and sold. Oh, look, here it is right here. Boom. So this is number 50. We're going to let it read out.
The current size of the e-cycle market in the UK, including manufacturing volumes. Based on import statistics, 15. The market for e-cycles in the UK increased substantially during the COVID pandemic, 60,000 units imported in 2017, compared to 150,000 units in 20.
And now we're 6 years later. So let's be real, we've probably doubled this number, and I'm probably someone that's got quite a few bikes myself, but I take great care in batteries and all the rest of it. Now, even down to maintenance of the bike, especially if you work in the gig economy, maintenance is very important. And if you're in Birmingham, we might have something coming soon for you all. You may have seen it already, and I had a positive outview to be able to start something off, which shows me it's a good place to start. Now, even here, option 51, 52 is all about increasing the speed to 500 watts of a cargo bike, etc. Now, let's be honest, the the Engine Pro is a cargo bike. There is so many different options for a cargo bike. A cargo bike is considered to be a bike big enough to carry excess weight, right? So that means you could take your bike and have it qualified to meet these specifications. You can't just do it yourself and go out and start riding around and then think, oh yeah, I can show the police this information. Now the issue lies if you are doing that, well, A, your bike's not tagged, B, you don't have a certificate. So now you need to prove that you have that information, and your bike's more than likely going to get impounded. It's best to go through the proper channels, in other words. And there is so many different options for bikes that can be put into this category. It's just the bike has to meet the specifications. And that's why in the previous video I showed you all type approves, which actually I found another one, which is this one here. And to be quite honest with you, it's quite expensive, but it comes type approved already. And all of these bikes on this option here are type approved. So we could select, say, this one, right? Whatever color you want, size of the battery, upgrade the bike, full throttle, and it will come with the type approved so that you can go out and ride your bike as it is. And it even gives you the information here to let you know in advance that, you know, the bike's going to go through that process. And I'm pretty sure they tell you that it's 2 to 8 weeks. It's the same over here with this bike. They've even upgraded their option on batteries, which is quite good. So now you get the 3x21 option. You get the bag with it for free. Obviously, you have to select the DVSA certificated, and always go for the hydraulic brakes, especially with these big bikes. They work better. So yeah, and then you're good to go. That's literally it. So I don't know how much more I can explain to you all, but that is basically the 4 different categories for an e-bike, and all of the 15 pages. There is a lot more information on here, things that apply to different categories. For example, someone that could be using a mobility scooter could get access to the twist to go as well, or the push to go at the same speed as an e-bike. It would just have to go through the same channel. But I'm pretty sure you could find a specialist that handles the wheelchairs and the certificate in one. So that would be quite good to look into. But yeah, someone said to me these laws have been around since donkeys, 1984. The bike laws have been here. But it's the Traffic Road Act. And over time, they just adjust it so that it meets what's currently on the road now. You know? But I guess that's the video. Let me know what you guys are thinking in the comments. I know there's going to be these crazy comments about, but you didn't do this and you didn't do that. But this is the information here that's provided to you from the document. And it even tells you here, 30th of June. What will change coming up, I think it's next month on the 17th, we'll get given the information. I personally believe, from what's been put out already, that they are going to look to put charges or even place more risks towards people using off-road bikes on the road. For example, people stealing the phones, you know, so that they can not give them points on their license and a £450 fine for the bike. Instead, give them 2 years. And if you don't think that's what's going to be the case, I think you should actually pay attention to what's going on. And I do think a lot of other creators are going to have issues down the same street in that manner of speaking. Because we're already seeing it. There's a kid that's had like some type of issue someone showed me recently with a cancel, and the cancels had the police arrest him, and they're now fining him for the damage that was caused by the e-bike. So, you know, look at Sir Ronster in Australia. They went and used him as an example to be able to change their laws. And he wasn't even trying to have a ride-out. He was just, you know, meeting up with one person, doing his thing, said hello to some people, and everything went left from there. But otherwise than that, I think, personally, we need to pay attention to what takes place, especially with our e-bikes. And the e-motor is a whole different situation, right? If you want somewhere to ride that where you're not going to lose your £4,000 or £5,000 bike, it's probably best to look into that. Off-road, etc., where you can use it and not have that issue. And I get it, it's not the same fun. Believe me, I understand. But at the same time, do you really want to hold that L? Especially if it becomes a arrestable charge. That's just going to be a nightmare in the long run. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.